the sun.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. All right, let's get it going. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go! Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. It is 10 p.m. Thursday evening, and we are here live on Studio A. Yeah, you've waited all week for the most cutting-edge topics and guests, and now it is time to deliver. That's right, it's the Stephen D. Kelly Show with your host, Stephen D. Kelly.
You with us, Steve? Gosh, I'm sorry. I got a little mute there. Okay, anyway, welcome to the show. It's Sunday night, Stephen D. Kelly Show. I'm Stephen D. Kelly. We're going to be talking about Syria tonight. Yeah, anyway, it's a big deal. It is, let's see, what is it? I'm sorry, Sunday, September 6th, 2015. Before I get into getting to the guest, Mahmoud's going to be with us. Mahmoud is with us right now. Dr. Rima is going to be with us soon. She is making some coffee, and she'll join us in about 5 minutes or so. Let me get back on the right page here. Here we go. Good. Anyway, this is the Stephen D. Kelly Show, and we are on Revolution Radio, www.freedomslips.com. And we're just trying to save the world today, again, as usual, and just another big deal show. We do this all the time, and we don't think about it, but it really is a big deal, and we keep trying. All right, we keep trying. Now, let me just try to get over the things I got to get over with before I dive into this. Obviously, Revolution Radio is 100% listeners supported. Hawk's having his big party this weekend, so if you didn't go, you missed out. But anyway, that's still going on. That is the phone number there that you just left with me, Keith. All right, that's good. Anyway, the donations, if you want to help out with supporting Revolution Radio, of course, there is a button on the right side of the homepage that says donate. Oh my gosh, I got all these little boops going on. I got to turn some of these things off. Here we go. This might help. Anyway, we've done many shows about Syria, of course, and those of you that are listening, and I know a lot of people are listening because the ad for this particular show tonight got a significant amount of hits. Which tells me that you're either listening more or that you're concerned about what's going on with this issue. A lot of times, sometimes when we first did this, of course, we had huge numbers, but people become complacent, and the interest is slacked off somewhat. And we try to keep people up to date, of course, but it's not easy, and certainly there's other areas we focus on. Naturally, what's going on in the eastern Ukraine is very important to us, and other areas of the world. However, we do have these friends over here that we keep tabs on, and of course Mahmoud has been telling us about his town, Kutsaya, that's been under siege for various reasons, and he came on actually a couple of weeks, I think it was, ago. And it's happy to report that things have improved somewhat. Their flour truck has come in and delivered some flour to the bakery downstairs, so I'm sure that made a lot of people happy. But overall, things are really, really crappy, and we try to look for bright spots, and we try to celebrate our little the battles that we win overall in this war that we're fighting here. But it gets very frustrating, and I know I myself am frustrating. I've been all over press TV and what have you, screaming about the source of ISIS and how we made this, and how it's such a big damn joke that we're talking about fighting the same damn enemy that we created, and it's just everybody, the Western media, whatever, acts like there's something going on that we all can see that what's really going on is something completely other than what they're trying to tell us. But the bloodshed and the threat and the terrorism is very real, and the threat is very real. And this is why the people are fleeing, of course, and this is why they're having a refugee crisis, because as like even Mahmoud was saying earlier, not tonight, but just in the past, is that when these cities are threatened to be taken over by ISIS, people are not going to sit there and wait for their heads to be cut off. They're gonna do something. They're going to run, and unfortunately, this is why we have this refugee crisis. So it's completely, again, ISIS is complete American, Israeli, Mossad, Zionist, Rothschild fabrication, and the results are of this bloodshed. Of course, are these migrants, and of course they're using the refugees to destabilize. Well, I'm not saying they're bad. Certainly, they're, for the most part, these are good people that are being displaced. But at the same time, it's being used as a cultural warfare by the very same people that are causing these wars to disrupt the homogenous nature of certain countries in the Europe that they feel need to have this treatment in order for them to blend more into their plans. But Dr. Rima said something, and hopefully she's going to come on very good. Keith, hopefully when she does come on, she'll mute. But like I said, she's just going to get some coffee. But she made a comment earlier today, and I can see her frustration. And I got to tell you, when I've been keeping in touch with Mahmoud, and he tells me about how they've been subsiding on essentially boiled seeds of something of this nature. And it's frustrating because there's almost nothing we can do, and we've tried to have phone campaigns to United Nations personnel and people representing Syria and what have you to try to get some help in their area, and hope we'd like to think that it was successful, but the fight against ISIS and the fight against this destruction of the country is monumental. And like as I was saying, Dr. Rima put it very good. I could see her frustration, but she said that she felt like she was one person trying to stand up or fight against a hurricane, and I can see her faltering. I think that she sees her country being torn apart, and she sees massive. She called it, and this was shocking to me, but she actually called it an evacuation. She said Syria is being evacuated. When she said that, I was in shock. I thought, wow, I think of situations where nuclear hazard or something horrible happened and everybody has to get out. But upon further explanation, it appeared that what she's describing, what's going on, this terrorism and what have you that's being subjected against the people there, is to cause evacuations, to cause these people to turn into the same as the Palestinians, to be displaced, to become the diaspora, and subsequently destroy the country and empty it. And she said, very, very well, and I think that this ultimately is a area that we have to focus on if we're really going to address the real cause of this problem, and that is the desire for Israel to create a greater Israel, of which will contain most of Syria within its new borders. And then there's, this is just one thing. Obviously, they need that land empty of the people. They need to take it over. They need Damascus gone. They also want to build pipelines. They want to steal everything. They want to steal the gas, you name it, and it's not good. Yes, please bring in Dr. Rima. Is she standing by, Keith? Yeah, go ahead and do that for me. Now, okay, there she is. Mahmoud's here. Dr. Rima's here. Gabby, he's probably sleeping. We'll see if he shows up. Now, as far as I know, the phones are going to be working, but I'm going to give this number out. If you absolutely have to call in, go ahead, but we're going to wait until the second half of the show. But here's the number. Write it down. Area code 928-202-4608. All right, 928-202-4608. All right, Mahmoud, bear with me. I just want to make sure Dr. Rima's here, and I want to talk to her right away. Okay? So, Dr. Rima, how are you doing?
Fine, Stephen. How are you? Can you hear me well? Is
yes,
the voice clear?
Yes, your voice is good. Now, I don't know if you were listening earlier, but I was talking about your Facebook post that you made, and how you said you felt like one person in trying to fight a hurricane, trying to stand up against a hurricane or something like that.
Yeah.
And I know how hurt you are right now over this, and how helpless and frustrated you're feeling. And this is why I wanted you to be here, because I think, whether we're successful or not, we've got to try, and we have to amplify our voices and see if we can do something. So I've been thinking all day, trying to think, what could we possibly say that will wake people up, and that will. I guess we need to focus on the cause. The refugee situation and the people flooding out of the country for safety and security. Yeah. Obviously, that's not the best situation. It'd be better if they did not have to leave, and they were not being threatened by these enemies.
Yeah.
So what can we do? What do we have to do to educate these people? What we got to get them to focus on one thing. And is it Israel? Is it the Rothschilds? Is it this desire to create greater Israel?
Yeah.
What is it? All of these things, trying to erase history, ancient revenge.
Yeah. Actually, Stephen, yes, maybe I've been trying hard with, on my Facebook to try and awaken the people on all, issues apart from the having to leave Syria in a way. But yes, lately I've been frustrated because people, in fact, started like responding to the cause of having to leave the country in a way, and so easily. I mean, like following the spirit of the herd without even thinking. And I blame probably Syrians much more than any probably Arab people in a way, because they have all these lessons to learn in front of them somehow from history. The thing is, I mean, basically, of course, as you know, Stephen, the media, it's amazing. That's why now, after they have seen this, little boy washed up the shores of Turkey in a way, in this city boredom, why now they have all suddenly, like the Western, the European people in a way, started responding to a kind of media, a kind of image of the boy, which is so heartbreaking, of course. It seems there's something going on. And in fact, as you know, when they use this image, sometimes maybe because we somehow analyze a lot. I've been thinking of this little boy. I mean, this baby somehow. When you see someone drowning, when you see like a human being pushed off or washed up the shores, the first reaction you do, Stephen, is to turn him up and try to somehow find a way to save him, because you're not sure yet that he's dead. Somehow, I'm just amazed how he is turned upside down with face, on the sand, and just left to take a good photo, which will move the world. So the people will start leaving the country, and they will start opening up for the refugees, the Syrians. And unfortunately, all the Syrians now are just waiting, because they have been risking their lives, in the sea to reach a European country, and they think that they will live safe and a good future. And definitely, of course, they will live in a safe place, and maybe they will have a better future for their children. But suddenly, the Syrians started saying, yes, since they opened now the ways, and Germany will even send buses to take them from Hungary. So they started, I mean, like a herd. The idea is, I started waking them up. Well, if you really want to live safely, I mean, there are different things the Europeans can do, apart from welcoming refugees, is to stop the flood of refugees. And basically, one of the probably small things in comparison to the greater reason, which is Israel, is of course lifting the sanctions on Syria, Stephen. I mean, the sanctions on Syria, you can't imagine. They are not hurting the regime. They are hurting the people. Apart from, like medical substances, we can't find all the needed chemical and medical substances to have all the medicine that we need here in Syria. The sanctions are affecting all the sectors. I mean, the agricultural sector, you need parts for the agricultural equipment and vehicles. And again, of course, the industry, the electricity, the power cuts, we need parts, all these power stations need parts to fix them. And now I'm talking to you and I am in total darkness because I don't have electricity, but I have charged my mobile and I have a battery that can, so we are all suffering in a way. And that's why the Syrians think, well, why not leave then? So this is one of the things the Europeans and the Americans can do, is to ask their governments and to probably take to the streets or even, address the parliaments and the Congress that please lift the sanctions on the Syrian people if you really care for Syrian people. I mean, this is one thing, Stephen. Another thing are, yes, as you said rightly, the causes, the root causes of what is happening in Syria, basically. I mean, I can't just understand how those European countries who at the beginning of the crisis called themselves the friends of the Syrian people in a way, and they are still helping and closing an eye on the armament of the terrorist groups. I mean, Turkey, for one, that is somehow infiltrating and allowing the Syrian refugees to cross through Turkey and then to Greece, and then, this kind of journey of pain to different European countries. I mean, Turkey is responsible basically for allowing the terrorists and especially ISIS fighters to cross the borders into Syria, to infiltrate into Syria. Why don't they all call on Turkey to stop allowing them to try and control the borders and stop allowing them? They can do something together. They can form a coalition to stop them, but they don't want to. I mean, now ISIS, as you know, Stephen, are in Palmyra. And Palmyra, for those who visited Palmyra, they know how much history it has. Well, they are then in the desert almost. Why don't they stop them if they have a coalition? Why don't they, for example, really strike them and not say, for example, that, okay, every now and then we have, for example, bombed a certain area where we have killed, a dozen of ISIS fighters. I mean, they can really finish ISIS in one day if they want to. But they don't want to because they are moving in the desert. I mean, everybody can see them, and especially in Palmyra, and they can do really something concerning that. They don't want to. And of course, the other thing is that, Stephen, this kind of influx of refugees from Syria into the European countries and other countries, I don't know, it made me so sad because it's similar to Al-Nakba, for Palestinians in a way. There is a kind of really purposeful evacuation of the Syrian people. And the Syrians are responding to that. So I don't want to say blindly. I don't know what to call it in a way. I mean, what is happening? There are people, Stephen, I can say that, yes, there are people who really have to, because they have lost their homes, let's say. They have lost their livelihoods. And I understand that maybe they need to be in a better place. But there are people I know, families I know, Stephen, who haven't been affected in the crisis. They still have their homes, their livelihood. And some of them even have like 2 houses to rent. They rent, 2 houses. They have enough money even. They have sent their children by sea and their wives by sea, and now they are waiting to, for example, join them later in Holland or in Germany or what have you. I mean, what for? I'm just somehow probably a little bit angry with the Syrian people, how they cannot even be a little bit patient. I mean, it's a homeland, Stephen, at the end of the day. It's a homeland. And maybe the post I have put is because I felt this kind of, I don't know what to call it, like this kind of ultimate orphanage. I mean, maybe the orphan is the one who loses his parents, but the orphan, in actual fact, the real orphan and the worst kinds of orphanage is to lose your homeland. I mean, okay, maybe I can be received in Germany and I can establish a new life. But then, not to feel that this is a kind of, homeland that you have borrowed for a while, and to have no homeland to go to. Maybe Palestinians will understand my point of view much more than, but I feel it now. I really feel it. I don't know why I am so aware of how difficult it is for any person not to have a homeland where he feels he belongs, where he feels he can go back when he wants to. So Syrians are working hard to lose their homeland, because if all the Syrians now leave, and I have heard, I don't know whether the statistics are right, that now half the population have left Syria. We've been 22 million somehow, maybe 24, if the number is approximate in a way. Now they say that we are only 10 millions in Syria. I know that many Syrians will come back if Syria is in peace again. But will it be again in peace, Stephen? That's the question. Will Israel allow Syria to have peace, basically? Because it seems to me that, and maybe to many Syrians, that instead of trying to solve the situation and have peace, and Israel gives back at least some of the rights to the people in a way, return the rights to the people somehow. Some of the lands it has occupied, at least a little state, Palestinian state. Instead of doing that and living in peace and disarming the region, the whole region, and Syria has called for it years ago, by the way, by the late President Hafez al-Assad, they called for a conference for disarmament of the whole region, Instead of doing that, Israel is upset because Syria is part of the axis that is opposed to Israel and to Israeli occupation of Palestine. Instead of finding peace, they want to remove Syria altogether from, to be a neighboring country to Israel. I mean, they say, well, okay, we extract Syria altogether. Why not? We change demographically the whole face of Syria. And that's what they are doing now.
They have to. They have to.
Yeah,
they don't want to give back the Golan. They want to start drilling for oil. They want to start building on it, and they can't.
Yeah.
They can't do that with when Syria, Damascus is still there. They have to make it go away. Then they can take it. And then there's the pipeline that the Gulf states want to build right through the middle of Damascus.
Yeah, precisely. And the problem, Stephen, is that like, for example, inside Syria there is such a demographic change now happening in Idlib, for example, where now there is Al-Nusra and the other Islamic rebel groups there. They have invited families from what is called the Turkestan. I don't know what you call it in English, in fact. And then those Igor and Chechens, they have come with all their families. I have seen a YouTube that really shocked me, with all their children that look Chinese much more than anything else. The features, they are now actually being settling there in the houses that have been abandoned by their owners, and after, of course, the armed groups entered Idlib. In a way, they took hold of Idlib. So I have seen many families from Idlib coming, and many students, in fact, who have been students in the university there. They have come to be hosted in Damascus University because they have lost their studies, and they are now taking their exams in Damascus. They have told me that I thought at first, because we were made to believe that most of the people in Idlib are with the rebel groups, and it turned out that it's not true. All the families that came, and some parents visited my office with their daughters and their sons who are now students in our department. They told me that like, for example, more than 50% of people in Idlib left Idlib when they entered, and this shows that they were not with them. And what really strikes me is that for those people who are the Syrians, even, who are abroad and encouraging the Syrians to leave, in a way, I just wonder, if you are with the opposition, why don't you come and live in their areas, since they have claimed some parts of the Syrian land? So why don't you come back and live with them and fight with them? Because they know they can't live with these groups who are extremists and who are mostly terrorists, and who are just killing people on false basis of being, for example, heretics or what have you. So yes, in fact, Stephen, this is similar to the refugees crisis, the Palestinian refugees evacuating Syria gradually, in a way, and in fact not gradually. I mean, what happened this week is really amazing. And maybe I'm taking lots of time and not allowing the others to speak, in a way.
4 months.
But Yeah, but in
Well,
fact,
but
yes.
Dr. Rima,
Yeah,
that you're right though. There's so many people pouring out of Syria, but then at the same time, we have people pouring out of Libya, and it's
yeah,
like they're all doing this on cue, and people
yeah,
they see the ships at the
yeah,
docks overflowing with people, and these pictures are in Tripoli, I believe.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
so
and
yeah, it's coordinated, definitely.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted,
exactly.
there's something I want to say here real quick. I know Mahmoud, thank you for being patient, but there's something else I want to say. I want to get your opinion. We try to look for bright spots, but uh, Russia and Iran, first of
Yeah,
all, Russia now is saying, and it looks like it's confirmed that they're in the process of expanding their presence. They're building extending their naval presence, and they're building
yeah,
airport facilities, and they've brought in some modern equipment and some personnel, and it would appear that they are actually in the field right now. Doing their best to help out, at least as far as training. Now, this, of course, is a welcome thing. Now we have, of course, John Kerry with the State Department here in the U.S. saying that if Russian troops engage forces that the United States is friendly with, that'll be a bad thing. Well,
yeah,
that's obviously this is part of this big joke because obviously the United States has created ISIS, so certainly Russia is there to engage ISIS and al-Nusra and all of these groups. So I would like to think that that's a good thing. I'd like to know if you think that's really happening, Mahmoud. I want your opinion also. And another thing that's kind of along the same lines is people like Angela Merkel was saying that they would welcome a more Iranian cooperation and assistance in fighting against ISIS, which, of course, to me, naturally is more of a joke because who are they to say in the first place? And second of all, I think that through Hezbollah and what have you, that Iran certainly has had some effect. But I just want to feel, in spite of all the people pouring out of the country, it just seems to me that the Russian engagement seems to be a positive thing, and I'd like to think that they actually could turn things around. Is it too late? Do you think they're going to help, or what's your opinion? And then Mahmoud, real quick, Dr. Rima.
yes, Stephen. Actually, yes, you're right. We don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. Now, maybe Syrians have been waiting and they have been wondering why isn't or aren't the Russians and the Iranians, showing more involvement somehow? Because since all the countries, I mean, more than at the beginning, as you know, Stephen, 140 countries called themselves the Friends of the Syrian People, and the United States is definitely so involved in that, even though not with no boots on the ground, as John Kerry kept saying in 2013. But yes, it worries me, to tell you the truth, and it worries many Syrians. That it's a paradox. At the same time, we want the Russians to get more involved, to get rid of ISIS at least, because as you know, the father of the boy who drowned in the sea said, "I was running away from ISIS, not from the Syrian army." In Kobani, because he's from Kobani. So it was ISIS that destroyed his city, and it was Turkey that allowed the ISIS to enter into Kobani and destroy the city. As you know, he's Kurdish, the father of the boy. So as much as we want Russia to interfere, as much as we worry, because the United States, unfortunately, and Israel are just waiting. Of course, I want to say the U.S. administration, because we don't want to include the American people, the good American people, because they are really good people. So the American administration is just waiting for just a little sign of the so-called involvement, even though Russia is involved, of course, but maybe not directly, not of course directly on a military level, as it were. So the moment they call this, let's say, involvement, because they call it involvement when they want to. The moment they see it, or they call it as involvement, they may get involved themselves, and they may probably hit Syria. And what worried me lately, Stephen, I don't know whether you've heard that the U.S. administration called on the American citizens south of Turkey to leave the area at least. I mean, not to stay in south of Turkey. This worried me that if there is involvement by the Russians, let's say closer involvement, does this mean that there will be a real war happening in the north of Syria, let's say? And if this war is happening in the north of Syria, is it really meant to get rid of ISIS or meant to take the northern region, in fact, and to succumb to what Turkey wants as if like a safe zone in a way? I know that maybe nobody responded to Turkey's plea for a kind of safe zone, as it calls it, somehow, even though we know exactly what Turkey wants from the northern area. It wants this area to be for so-called, a kind of refugee area, a safe area for refugees. But basically, those will be recruited for Turkey against their country, against the government in Syria, and they will have to be loyal to Turkey because they will be provided for by Turkey. So yes, I want Russia to get involved. As a Syrian, I have to say frankly, yes, I want Russia to get involved, to get rid of ISIS, to be positive in its involvement. But the U.S. administration and Israel, it's unpredictable what they will do. Actually, it's predictable, let's say, because they will wait for the moment they want, and they will say, no, this is really too much. They have crossed the lines, they have crossed the limits. We have to interfere. And actually, Israel interfere. I mean, it's even bombing every now and then. Some positions of the Syrian army, and the Syrian leadership has shown lots of control. I say it, even though some Syrians are not happy that we should in a way retaliate. Syria cannot retaliate now, not because it can't. It can probably ask Russia, it can do something, but because the leadership knows very well that if they, in fact, retaliate against what Israel has done, then it will be an all-out war on Syria. Already, I mean, there's nothing more to destroy in Syria, to tell you the truth. I mean, at least there's something still left. So they will wipe it out completely if something like that happens. So yes, the Russian involvement is worrying. It has been long waited by the Syrians, but it is worrying at the same time, Stephen. It's such a difficult situation for Syrians. They want it, and at the same time they worry that it may be, a pretext for the U.S. administration and for Israel. So this is what worries us. The Iranians are already involved by expertise, maybe not so much on the ground as probably boots on the ground, but the Iranians are involved, and Hezbollah, of course, they are. And I really appreciate highly their involvement, to tell you the truth, because they are really fighting a really strong battle. And I mean, they are getting killed because of this. They are really strong and courageous men. And they are trying to secure in Damascus the western borders of Damascus, to secure at least the way out through Lebanon, because as you know, the rebels almost surround Damascus from the south and from the east, in Al Ghouta, for example, in Douma. So the western borders have to be completely secured for the Syrians, at least to have a way out. Somehow, if anything happens, God forbid, in a way. So this is my point about the Russian involvement. I can tell you more about what I think Israel wants, and even more about the media attempts to somehow create a certain narrative later on. Stephen, you can listen to Mahmoud as well, his point of view about the Russian involvement. Hello?
You on mute there, Stephen?
I'm sorry, guys. I keep doing that. Anyway, thank you again, Dr. Rima, and Mahmoud. Thank you for your patience. Mahmoud, I know you definitely want to fill us in on what's going on there locally, but I kind of want to get your response to this question about the Russian issue. What do you think's going on? Just your opinion, man on the street. What do you think? You think they're going to come in there and save the day? What do you think?
I hope so. I really want them to get involved. I mean, this is the last option we have, because we are in a tough situation. I mean, look at what ISIS is doing to people. They are pushing them to leave their homes and die on the beaches in Europe. That's what we saw. Last week and even the week before it. We saw how people they were riding these rubber boats. When they ride these rubber boats, some Turkish gangs they aim their weapons on these rubber boats and pierce them, which makes people sink and die like that, as we saw that little kid. And after that, they even they take those dead bodies and they steal their organs and sell them. I mean, uh, we need Russia to, at least to stop this. People are dying; they have no fault to die. All their fault is that they are Syrians.
I got a question for you, Mahmoud, and I think Dr. Rima, I want to get your opinion too. But the situation in Kutsaya and the town next door, I don't remember the town, Hama, I think it is. No, is that it?
Hame,
Hame.
Hame, yes.
Okay, it's kind of indicative of the situation with a lot of the areas around Damascus and in areas that have been taken over, homes, et cetera, Aleppo. And that is that you've got these indigenous, these people living there, from the town or, that have moved into town that have somehow got guns that are anti-Assad and this and that. And they can dictate what happens to the whole town. And that's what happens is now you've got these armed groups, different ones. It seems like there's different ones. So every different area has a different group. But for everything to get better, obviously they've all got to go. There's been a lot of peace being made, in temporary truces, I guess. Like you say, they come to these agreements where the armed guys will. They'll give themselves up. They get some sort of amnesty or something like that. But do you think ultimately, do you see how difficult it is to be able to fight these guys when you've got so many of them are homegrown, they're neighbors, they live among you? Isn't that the hard part when you've got how do you deal with that part?
Let me talk about these groups, in Kutsaya and Al-Hame. They are, mostly they are from, they are the natives of these two towns. So that makes the government to solve the problems with them peacefully, because they are Syrians, so they reconcile every once in a while, and sometimes suddenly we see that the reconcile has been broken, and sieges are imposed, and then they negotiate together and make new terms. I think that the government knows that they have to reconcile with all Syrian parties. We don't see them reconcile with ISIS or Nusra because they don't want peace for Syria. Whereas these guys, the Syrian armed groups, you can agree with them. The government can agree with them that they want peace, and so about this, given the weapons thing that you said, it's actually happening in Kutsaya. There have been like five groups. Every group is consisted of maybe 50 to 60 armed men. So these were some of the conditions to unimpose the siege. And we are promised that maybe by the end of this week, the roads will be open again, and after this will happen after most of these armed members surrender and give their weapons to the government. However, there are some extremists. They are very few. So the government offered them that if you don't want to turn yourselves, you can go to some, how do you say that? a place where there is already clashes and fights and everything. Like there are places in Daraa that have no civilians, only armed groups, the extremist ones. They agree that they will take them there. So if you want to die, okay, let's take you and fight somewhere else, aside from the civil groups. I mean, Qudsaya and Al-Hami have almost like over 1 million people. They can just the army can just get in and bomb the locations of these armed groups, because there will be civil casualties. So that's why they gave them this amnesty thing, and for the extremist ones, they were given an offer so that they will that they leave the town and make it and live it peace, in peace. And if they really want to fight and die as martyrs, as they call themselves, they can get out of the town.
Such a deal, huh? Jeez. All right. I'm going to get back to Dr. Rima. We've got about 20 minutes left in the hour or less before we start our break.
Yes, Stephen.
Well, go.
Yes. Go ahead, Stephen. Yeah.
Sorry. Before I just want to again give out the phone number again real quick. Okay. When we do come back from the break, the phone number to call in is 928-202-4608. If you call in, please turn down the radio or turn it off, whatever you're listening to the show on, turn it off in the background when you make your call. Okay, I'm sorry, Dr. Rima. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay, Stephen. I'm sorry. Yes, of course, listening to Mahmoud as well, a similar example is in, again, the western suburbs of Damascus, near Al-Zabadani, where, of course, there's a fierce battle that has been going on for almost 2 months now. Between, of course, the rebel groups and the Syrian army and Hezbollah as well. And this is where they are trying to secure the western part. In this area, there's a place called Ain al-Fija, and this is and Wadi Barada, Stephen. And these areas, similarly, in the same way as in Qudsaya, even though probably with less population there, but there are, the people on the ground causing this trouble are all thugs, and I have many friends that are living there, and they have because they are there and they have arms, and the people there, the civilians, are so peaceful, they cannot hold arms against them, they cannot do anything, in fact. It's just a small group, as Mahmoud was saying. I mean, maybe no more than 40 armed men, but they are, living among the civilians, unfortunately, and they have been controlling the water, Al-Fija water, which is the main water source for Damascus that really comes into Damascus. So they have constantly, many times, deprived Damascus of water. Damascus, where now, Stephen, I can say, lives more than, you can say, 8 million people, because they have all been displaced from different cities in Syria, and they have come to Damascus. So it's densely populated now, Damascus. It has been densely populated, but now it's even more. And imagine we had no water for days to come, and every now and then they try to find a way out and try to have reconciliation with them, and then we have water back again, and then again they stop the water, they deprive us of water. So imagine, I mean, what sort of people are these who deprive the people in Damascus of water? And then when I asked my friends who lived there, what sort of people are these? Are they from Ain al-Fija, from the area in itself? They said no. Some of them are from Qudsaya, some of them are from other areas, from Qudsaya, where Mahmoud lives, and he knows that. And they are just thugs. They are just people who were not that important before the crisis, and now they have become important. They have become like leaders of gangs and chiefs of gangs, and so they find it really difficult to give up let's say the temporary, in a way, if you like, gain that they have taken as probably someone who is controlling a group of armed men and frightening the people, and the people are begging them, please allow us to pass, or what have you. So those people have been just like in Qudsiya, as Mahmoud said. The people who live there, unfortunately, have had to suffer now lots of blockades and checkpoints. One of my colleagues, who is a professor, she lives there. She couldn't come to be there with her students in their exam in the subjects that she teaches, because she wasn't allowed to come by the, if you like, the checkpoint of the Syrian army, because they had to stop people infiltrating for a couple of days after they have had some clashes with them. So the Syrian government and the Syrian army are not, trying to put the people in difficult
Well,
situations. It's
I have
actually
a
the armed
question.
groups.
I have a
Yeah.
question for you. All right. Now, I've had this discussion with Mahmoud because it reminds me of the situation here and some of the different laws that we have and how it would
Yeah.
affect the situation. And that mainly is that when you have so many people being held hostage by, like you said, 40 people with AK-47s or something, I have to wonder, where are the police? Is how over here we would have SWAT teams and what have you. Is the army? Why doesn't the army just come in and go door to door, get those people, surround the area, go in and take them out? It's only 40 people. And then the other side of this is here in the United States, of course. Yes, you may, Mahmoud, just give me a second. Is that we have the Second Amendment, of course. We have 200 million Americans with weapons, and it would be very difficult for 40 people to try to take over a city of a million people, because their neighbors would be overwhelmingly armed. So that's the thing. It's like, to me, when I see the situation over there, I think if the leadership trusted the population with weapons, that could not happen, because the good people that have weapons would be able to prevent the bad people from doing that. And then at the same time, if they're depending on the law enforcement or the army to keep the peace and to prevent armed gangs like that from taking over, what is preventing them from doing that?
Oh, you want me to answer, Stephen, or you want to go to
yeah.
Mahmoud
Why?
first?
Well, Mahmoud, I mean, I want you both to answer, but why can't the army go in there and go after the guys with the guns? If there's only 40 guns, 40 AK-47s, they may have some families that might get in the way, and mom and dad might stand in front of the son with the gun. But ultimately, they've got to take those guys out, and I'm just wondering why that doesn't happen.
I can tell you, Stephen, something that about 2 weeks ago, the Syrian army tried to get in and try to have a kind of limited military operation to try and get rid of them. So they hit a couple of houses in a way that where they know that there are armed groups. So the problem is that they live among the people, and some of them live with their families. I mean, they expose even their own children to this, because they are armed. Of course, when this happened, some Syrians, and among them even one I know very well, put on her Facebook to see how even those few people who support them on the basis of, let's say, religion, extremism, she put on Facebook that thank you, the Syrian army, thank you, Syrian army, you are killing our children. So I told her, well, when you say that, it seems as if you are denying completely the presence of those armed groups who are against the government and who are depriving people of peace. So when you do this, you are using children. When you speak about children, you are using them as human shields. Then you are protecting the armed groups by saying that the Syrian army are killing children. This is not true at all, Stephen. So the moment the Syrian army tries to do something, there are people who keep, voices going out. Oh, come on, there are civilians. Okay, we know there are civilians, but they have come among the civilians. And this is a very difficult thing for any army in the whole world to be able to get rid of armed people among the civilians. You know this story, Stephen.
Well, let me tell you something, Dr. Rima. Let me just interrupt you for a moment. I got to tell you something. Now, I know you don't know me very much. You probably don't know this, but before I did the radio business and was working with people like you, I used to build lasers, weapons for systems, and I supplied all the gear for all of the special teams, the special operations teams. And when I hear you talking about 40 people like this, I've worked with the CIA on projects that were much larger than this one. Like for instance, when in the Philippines, when they had a bunch of hostages and they had a whole island they had to take over to rescue the hostages. It's a similar situation, but what they really need is a team of commandos, maybe 100, 200 people. And those commandos would need to have silencers, they would need to have infrared lasers, and they would need to have night vision. And they would go in there and they would be able to very easily shoot the guy, they see what's going on, and be able to shoot the guys that need to be shot and not the children and not the moms and dads. And that's how they do stuff when they rescue hostages. And this is kind of a similar situation. So sorry for interrupting you, but because
Stephen,
they don't have this, because they don't have this.
The 40 people I'm talking about are those who are controlling the water source, Ain al-Fija. It's not 40 only in this area, in the western border of Damascus, Stephen. It's of course more. But I was talking about the fact that they are controlling the water spring Ain al-Fija, and the water spring Ain al-Fija, if it is poisoned, let's say, because these people can stop at nothing. I mean, just to save themselves or to do anything, they may poison Ain al-Fija, and this is very dangerous for Damascus. I mean, Damascus will be with no water. So the Syrian army, this is a very sensitive issue for them. If they don't try to get them peacefully with reconciliation, they are risking the water spring Ain al-Fija, which is the main source for drinking water for Damascus. Not only drinking water, for water, even drinking water and potable water and household water. It's the main spring. So we're worrying that if something happens to this water.
I got an idea, Mahmoud. I'll bet you'll agree with me. I think a Russian Spetsnaz team needs to go in there and secure that water supply. They could probably do it very easily. Drop in there, commando style. Secure the situation, huh? What do you think, Mahmoud? Yeah? Spetsnaz, huh? No?
What are these
Spetsnaz, Russian special troops. You know how I'm saying that this is the thing?
Yeah.
In a modern commando situation, in order to have the advantage, you have to be able to see at night with no lights, and you have to have the infrared lasers, infrared illumination, and all that sort of thing, right? And the silencers, so they can't hear you when you're shooting at them. If Syria doesn't have such a team like this, then the Russians do.
They do have.
Well, this is what they need. If this could insert a team like that, this is just tactics. Maybe he doesn't have enough to go around, perhaps, Assad. Who knows? I don't know what the technology is. I don't see the Syrian army running around with state-of-the-art night vision. And I know that most countries, aside from the United States, don't have state-of-the-art night vision and all that. But I'm thinking that Russia probably has better equipment than Assad, and I'm hoping that they will actually use that to their advantage in operations against these forces. I'm dreaming right now. Okay, this is because as you described to me what's going on, the military guy in me is sitting here saying, why can't we do this? Why can't you do that? Because to me...
Can I tell you why as well?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, sorry, Stephen, again. Sorry, Mahmoud, maybe you wanted to say something, but I just want to say to Stephen again that, there is now, of course, a fierce battle going on in Al-Zabadani, very near Ain al-Fija, the main water source for Damascus. Stephen, at the moment where the battle is going on in Al-Zabadani, there is two villages called Al-Fu'a and Kufraya in Idlib, near Idlib. And these, unfortunately, are predominantly from the Shiite or Alawite sect. Every time, there's something wrong in Al-Zabadani. Every time the rebel groups are losing or something is happening, or the Syrian army is doing an operation against them, they bombard the people at Al Fu'a, and many of them now have died. So it's like, since they are in all Syria and infiltrating in all Syria and among civilians everywhere in Syria, so they threaten the Syrian army that if you do this, then we will kill those people in this village. So the problem is complicated and complex, Stephen. It's not as simple as you say. Yes, we wish that they can use the commando style and do something, but immediately they will take revenge on a whole village somewhere where they have control. And it's a very difficult situation for the Syrian army now. And if I were in their place, I would worry about a whole village being, completely killed and slaughtered by them. So that's why because maybe if you probably read the news on the field, you will know that they are threatening Al Fu'a and Kufraya, these two villages, by Al Zabadani. Stop the military operation Al Zabadani, so we can stop killing the people in Al Fu'a. This is what they are saying. If you stop the military operation Al Zabadani, then we can stop killing the people in Al Fu'a and Kufraya. So they are really, yeah. Yeah,
okay.
That's another reason.
Hang on, I'm sorry. That's a very good explanation. I understand it's a very difficult diplomacy when you're having the civilians held hostage, and more than likely, if they are slaughtered, it'll be blamed on Assad. I just want to say we're taking our break, so go ahead, both of you. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Try to mute yourself as much as you can, and everybody stay with us. We'll be right back.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Transcending time and space, let us take you to the place inside your mind where thoughts divide and mysteries unwind. Join us every Monday evening right here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And you will catch the Fenton Perspective with our great host, Lorian Fenton. Come listen in as she shares her amazing stories from the past to present, along with all of her guest secrets to the future. That's the Fenton Perspective every Monday evening right here from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, only on Revolution Radio. Oh, and you don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Did you ever feel that things were not quite right? That everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
downloaded to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Stephen D. Kelly Show. I'm your host, Stephen D. Kelly. It's Revolution Radio, www.freedomslips.com, largest listener-supported radio station. It means we need your donations. So please go to the donate button, which is on the left side of the screen. The little blue button is with the white letters that says donate, and do what you can to help us out, stay on the air. If you like what I'm doing, you want to help out, my PayPal is stephenkelly714@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Also, please join our Facebook page. The Revolution Radio Facebook page is easy enough to find. Just do a search. We actually do have quite a few people joining, which is great. I'd like to see that continue. And the last few shows, we've had quite a good response. I want you guys to know, Mahmoud and Dr. Ima, that we did get a significant number of people respond to the ad that I put out for this particular show. So, and I only put the ad out here late. It wasn't out there very long, but even still, it got something like 4,200 hits, which isn't bad for a Facebook ad on the Revolution Radio page. The last show I did, of course, where I announced my presidency, my campaign for president, was more. It was a record, though. It got something like 6,000 something, so many hundred response. But I just want to let you know that that's very encouraging. That was a result of about 200 shares, which tells me that people are stepping up. Of course, the dead baby images are pulling at their hearts, and they want to do something about it. And that's very encouraging. So I'd like to think that we do have a lot of listeners. If you haven't listened to the show before, I want to welcome you. If you're here as a result of this issue, again, welcome to the show. And of course, if you're a faithful listener, as much as always, welcome and thank you for being here. Now, I did a show here not too long ago about Donbass, the Donetsk People's Republic, and I gave out some names after the show of my contacts over there, as well as the names of the people that are with me tonight, Dr. Ima and Mahmoud and Gabby, who's probably sleeping. I don't know, Gabby, if you're out there. I don't know. But I basically told people out there, I said, if you're in alternative media, here are my contacts. Please contact these people and put them on the air. And if you look just at Revolution Radio itself, we have 70-something hosts. We have more than one station, and we broadcast almost 24 hours a day, of which this is only a 2-hour slot of one day. And I thought that's a lot of shows where, in different time slots, where you guys could be on telling everybody what's going on and helping to educate the people. And I'm a little bit disappointed that hasn't happened. It's not just you. Of course, it's the people in Ukraine. I want people to hear their story also. But, obviously, the Stephen D. Kelly Show has been working very hard to get this message out. And it is very frustrating. And that's why I do feel your pain, Dr. Rima. But at the same time, I get angry, too, with the people here. I scream and scream and scream what's going on. And this is like, I'm telling Mahmoud the other day, people think it's a joke. I'm running for president. It's like, no, it's not a joke, because it's just another platform. It's just another place to scream from. It's just another position I can use to scream this message. So it goes without saying, obviously, if I was in charge, none of this would be going on. You guys would be in a much better situation. But I saw one of the other hosts I have here at Revolution Radio. I'm not going to say who they were, but they made a comment regarding the current situation that how could we not respond? How could we not be hurt and wanting to do something about this humanitarian disaster that's going on? And I thought about that, and I thought, wait a minute, you're a host. You have a show like I do once a week. Why have you not had these people on your show? What's going on? If you are all of a sudden care about this humanitarian disaster, where have you been the last year, the last 2 years, however long it's been, right, Mahmoud? We've been doing this now for 2 years, I think, right? Roughly? Has it been that long?
Almost, even more.
Almost a little bit more than 2 years? Yeah.
Yeah, because we started in August, latest of August.
We got all happy when we started doing this because we could see an effect. We got people involved, and we kind of made the powers that be have to step back and take a second look, I think, because the people woke up and said, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then we kind of lost that, right? We've done several shows, I don't know, at least maybe 5 or 6 shows since then. I mean, over the last couple of years, we've done many shows. I know, Dr. Rima, you've been with me. This is probably the 3rd time you've been with me. And Mahmoud, you've been here at least 6, 7 times, right? Something like that?
At least 10 times.
At least 10 times. Well, there you go. Okay, so the point is, this is not a new subject. This has been going on. Nothing has really changed, only it's getting worse. And now, because refugees that are fleeing ISIS, they're not fleeing Assad. Let's get this straight. They're fleeing ISIS. American mercenaries are dying. It's become a crisis, and everyone's now the guilt is on these Western nations to accept these refugees instead of forcing us to stop funding ISIS, to withdraw our support of ISIS, and to stop trying to overthrow Assad. If anything, we should be trying to help Assad. But, we should at very least admit that we are responsible and stop doing what we're doing to create this enemy. But the point I'm trying to make is that this radio personality, all of you people out there, one of the things I realized is that fighting for Syria, fighting for Donbass, whoever, trying to defend the next big major war target, be it Iraq or Afghanistan or Iran or whoever, Venezuela for that matter, there's no money in that, right? I'm not making any money by trying my best to help Syria, to help you, and to try to get people to wake up to what's really going on and to take responsibility for our government's complicity in this genocide. So that's the problem. And the people out there and my fellow people in alternative media, they want so much to entertain and to make jokes and to ha and buy my vitamins or pay for the next half hour, or you listen to 1 hour free and then pay for the next hour. These silly things that these people do to have their shows. And where are they? Why are they not having you on? And why are they charging money for this? Why aren't they giving this away like we're doing here? So and I think that ultimately, even if you look at the people that are fleeing, the refugees, like you were saying, Dr. Rima, there's a bit of an economic aspect to this, a social climbing aspect. They're thinking, oh, I'm going to go to this country, this Western European country, everything will be better, more resources, et cetera, nicer, who knows what, this kind of a thing. And that's very attractive, and they're not being loyal. They're voting with their what they with their themselves. They're being selfish, right? They're not thinking of they're not having loyalty to their country, and I think this is part of the biggest problem is that this monetary, the greed thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, Stephen. Actually, first, let me tell you that you're doing a great job, Stephen. And sometimes what makes me angry of the Syrian people is that someone like you, an American, that doesn't give up, despite everything, despite the fact that many people may think that what you're doing, is not useful, or but you're not giving up on trying to show the people the reality in a way. And of course, again, talking about alternative media, I'll come back to the greed of some Syrian people, and I can say that even though some people will be against me, but concerning the media, Stephen, as you know now, I mean, if you noticed the last 3 weeks. And I don't know why people don't notice how the media plays its game in a way. The Times Magazine. The Times Magazine, I don't know whether it has the same effect on the American people, but the cover of the Times Magazine, when I was in Britain studying for my PhD, I remember very well that the cover of the Times Magazine is an important part of trying to shape the people's minds in a way, because the average British person or maybe American person goes to his job early in the morning, and he has no time maybe to listen to the news or to listen to alternative media. And even to read. So what they do, because he has to make his living. So what they do is that on their way to work, they just look at the news agent, and they have a glimpse in a way at the cover of the Times Magazine, and they read the title or the headline on it, and they for them this gives them like enough information for the day, as it were. So the last three Times Magazine in the last 3 weeks, if you notice, because they are trying to build up something to show, oh my God, the Syrians are escaping, they are refugees escaping from the killing in Syria. If you noticed, Stephen, the last three issues of the Times Magazine, on the cover, there was something like, for example, like images of people dying, even though it's not really well known where these images are. And then the image of our president or the Syrian army with the headline saying 20,000 children killed by their own government. I mean, notice how this will affect the people. Well, I mean, logically speaking, Stephen, if you just, if people use their minds, if a government is just obsessed with killing children, 20,000 people killed by their government. I mean, how can this government stand for 5 years if the people are not with it? If, let's say, a large percent of the people are not with it, it won't stand. I mean, how can you believe a government so obsessed with killing children and people are just, doing nothing in Syria? I mean, this is impossible. And of course, I'm glad the father of the boy said, I'm escaping from ISIS. And of course, people on the ground, probably the American people or the European people, don't know that most of the Syrian people have escaped from rebel hold areas to areas where the regime is controlling, because they know that they live there safely. And this shows very well that the people are escaping not where the rebels are, but vice versa. They are escaping where the regime and the Syrian army is. And this shows very well that they are not actually killing children, as the media is trying to show. So they are building up, the Western media is building up the story or the narrative that, yes, oh my God, the Syrian government is killing children, and that's why and then after 2 weeks of this build up by the media, you notice the refugee story now, narrative, so that people will link it in their minds, the Western people will link it in their minds that the Syrian people are escaping because of the Syrian army and the Syrian government. So this is one issue, in fact, that I'd like to say to the people in a way. As for the Syrian people, yes, Stephen, I can say that even though some people will be against me, I can see that there are Syrian people who are selfish. I know that there are people who have very difficult circumstances. I know they lost their homes, and I agree with them that if they have no way out except leaving Syria, well, by all means, they are right. But the people who don't have to leave, like the people who still have their homes, who still have a way for living, who don't have to go and to leave Syria, who are not really in extreme danger, I mean, doesn't your homeland deserve some patience in a way, some kind of sacrifice somehow? Okay, you don't want to join the army, the Syrian army, even though in these kinds of circumstances, when your country is in extreme danger, unprecedented extreme danger. The logical thing is to join the army. Well, you don't want to join the army, fine. But at least by staying in Syria, this is a kind of sacrifice and a kind of fighting for your country, because even just a little bit of work, like, for example, doing your job or going to your work, doing whatever, even driving a taxi to take the people wherever they want to their universities. This is a kind of, resistance in a way, and a kind of sacrifice for your country. I mean, doesn't your homeland deserve this? And Stephen, believe me, I know from the Serbs now in Germany. Maybe you have heard that, in Germany now, after they have received more than 700,000 Serbs, in fact, now they have chosen 40,000, and they are asking the rest to go back to their country, because they have filed their country as safe now, and they can go back to it, which means that finally you have nothing except your homeland, no matter what. Because one day will come when the European countries who have received the refugees will select the best out of them, because they need, of course, the energy of the young people. They will select the best of them, the educated, who have been educated in Syria in the first place, who have been offered free education in Syria. So those people who are educated, who are skilled, they will be chosen to stay, and then the rest will be asked to leave and to go back to their country. So finally, you need a homeland, and you need to sacrifice a bit for this homeland. Doesn't it deserve this sacrifice? I just wonder. I don't know what is happening, to tell you the truth. I mean, remember, Stephen, when the American army invaded Iraq, and most of the American people were against the troops going into Iraq, and they started asking the troops to come back. Unfortunately, those who were against the troops being in Iraq were accused of treason, just because they were against this. Imagine. So I keep telling them, well, they were asked to stand with the American troops, the American people, even though they were invading a country. Now your country is in danger. The Syrian army is defending your country against ISIS and other rebel groups who are extremists, and you don't want to stand with your army, even just by the heart. I mean, even morally, in a way. So just imagine, because when you tell them stand with your Syrian army, they say, well, do you want us to get killed? Okay, don't fight with them. Don't fight alongside with them, but just stay in Syria. Show the Syrian army that they are fighting for people who deserve to be protected by the Syrian army. The Syrian army will lose heart when they see the people are leaving. I mean, sometimes I see them in the streets, Stephen, because they managed, Israel and the US administration managed to demonize the Syrian army, for some people at least, to demonize the Syrian army. And that's why sometimes I see them in the streets, in going, for example, from a place to place somehow with their arms. I look at their faces, Stephen. It makes me cry, because sometimes they look at me. Sometimes I'm driving my car and I see them in a truck taken somewhere, and I look at them and they look at me as if they want to say, well, do you like us? Are you against us? So I smile at them, and sometimes I wave at them and say, well, we are with you, because they need this trust. It's unprecedented in history, Stephen. It's an army of a country fighting for this country, and some people, unfortunately, some Syrians are against them in a way, and some Syrians just leave the country because they think, the country doesn't deserve to some patience on our part. I mean, they are fighting with so much patience. So
well, I hear your frustration. I would like to hope that some of your students or some of the people are English speaking here listening, perhaps tuned in, maybe some soldiers in the Syrian Arab Army. If they're listening, certainly I would like them to know, to be strong. And I personally look at those guys, and it is amazing. They are really strong, and I feel the same way. It is discouraging with the people leaving like this. It certainly makes the country weaker, and yeah, that's the one thing that could really hurt the morale of the soldiers, and I hope that doesn't happen. There's a couple other things I wanted to stress real quick. I want to give out the phone number again, because now's the time to call in if you want. And someone call in just to make sure this is working. We haven't had a working phone in 3 weeks, but it's area code 928-202-4608. We're talking with Mahmoud and Dr. Rima Hakim. The embargo or the trade embargo, whatever it is, the sanctions, as you mentioned, I think that that's a great idea. I think if those of us out here can do anything, yeah, Mahmoud, you can talk as soon as I'm done. I promise. We could all work at trying to get this trade embargo lifted, the trade sanctions lifted. They just got through doing this very unpopular deal with Iran, of course. But in the spirit of that, I think that if we want to show some support of Assad in the battle against ISIS, which they're trying to at least pretend that they're doing, which, of course, obviously they want to get rid of Assad, but I think that the people that are listening, if we think about what we can do, what we can do is to try to make some noise in support of lifting these sanctions, and that should help. But which also reminds me, what about Iran and Lebanon and Russia? Are they able to help out with providing the equipment and the products? I mean, can they supply the products that you're not able to get through these sanctions because of the sanctions? And Mahmoud, I know I told you, but that was my question. But Mahmoud, okay, what would you like to say, Mahmoud? Go ahead.
I was, I want to talk about the point that Dr. Rima said. That she said that the media has demonized our army. This is true, but there are also some people who link themselves to the Syrian army. They exploit and use advantage of being related to the army and do some bad things that ruin the reputation of the Syrian army. I mean, here, for example, in Qudsaya, there are reconciliations happening and meetings between the Free Army and the army sergeants. So one of the checkpoints, which is national defense members, so they said to people, as if they were threatening people. Someone said on the internet, and I would believe that because I've seen some bad treatment on the same checkpoint. That person said that I wouldn't say a soldier. It's a national defense member. National defense, right? They are civilians who volunteer and work with the army. So one of them said that. Talking to this person, he said that, oh, you are making reconciliation. So the army and the government are doing this without our consultment. We'll show you how. I mean, when someone hear this, he wouldn't, he would be upset by the idea, and he would say, oh my God, is the army, is this guy from the army? I mean, he's speaking for the army. He may not, represent the army like 100%. He's just, exploiting being on the army. But that totally doesn't represent the army ideas.
Let me just jump in here, okay? I know you've been on the receiving end of this and having to deal with these checkpoints, and sometimes they're nice and let you come and go without a problem. Sometimes let you bring in food and what have you. And I know
actually, along the whole siege, this checkpoint was respectful. This one checkpoint, which is the one between Qudsaya and the Republican Guard habitants. Mm-hmm. And can you even compare between Republican Guards and National Defense? I mean, Republican Guards, they are close to the army, close to the government, and National Defense, they are just civilians who volunteered. I mean, the ones who are really, right? Yeah. Well, just this one, please. Can you imagine that the ones who are actually closer to the government are treating the people very well, whereas some volunteered civilians who think they are, they represent the army, they are treating people as bad as they could. and they don't allow food. They there was a person was holding some pack of eggs,
All
so
right,
that
listen, Mahmoud, listen.
yeah,
Okay, this is the point.
yeah,
I've seen in my lifetime, I've seen whole governments brought down by the actions of one soldier. Okay,
yeah,
I remember very vividly. I'm not sure if it was I think it was El Salvador, where a soldier got trigger happy and he executed an American reporter, and the
yeah,
entire government fell as a result of that. So the point I'm trying to make here is that yes, I understand bad apples, whatever. They're not. I haven't said anything bad about anything that Assad has done. He's not a saint. He's not 100% pure. Nobody is, obviously. The United States commits vast crimes. Everybody commits crimes, shades of gray, whatever. But the point is that I know you've been through some bad stuff, and you've got some crooked thug-like characters that are causing you this pain. But it's not fair to in out of respect for the Syrian army, it's not fair to even compare those guys that are doing that.
yeah.
It's like you
I mean,
said, the higher up
the
they go, the
government,
better they are. Yeah.
the government and the army should solve this issue, because it's affecting people. Because people are starting to oppose the government here. They say the army checkpoints are doing this and that. They don't know this checkpoint is national defense or else. So the government must change these corrupt members.
It's too bad you guys aren't like the United States or Switzerland, where everybody was running around with weapons, and everybody would be very polite, and nobody would get away with any of this stuff. But okay, well, we're trying to focus on answering, doing something productive here, and I think Dr. Rima so far has come up with the best thing, and that is to try to focus on getting people to tell the leadership to lift this blockade, to lift the embargo. I mean, that would be a great step in the right direction. That in itself would be very difficult, but I think we can do that. As listeners, this is something people can do, and we can start with that. Otherwise, we're not going to make Israel go away. If you vote for me, obviously, for president, I will dismantle the Rothschilds, and the whole world will be better. Vote for me and your wildest dreams will come true. That's a line from a movie. I don't know if you've ever seen that. That's what Pedro said that. Again, we haven't had any callers. This is your chance. Somebody's got to call in right now. Somebody from the chat room is just going to call in right now. It's a motorcycle in Damascus or Qudsaya. I assume that's in Qudsaya, right, Mahmoud? Is that you?
No, it's actually pretty quiet in here.
Okay, that's by Dr. Rima. Anyway, again, that's the call-in number is 928-202-4608. This is Stephen D. Kelly Show, Revolution Radio. We're talking about a crisis in Syria. We're trying to give people answers. We're trying to show that we're trying to basically show people how we can do something and how we can be useful, other than I don't know. Everyone thinks right now, I think they're guilty and they've got to open up their homes to Syrian refugees. But I obviously don't think that's the answer. We've got to do a little bit more than that. Of course, we want to make it easy on the refugees, but at the same time, we don't want to encourage them to abandon Syria when there is hope. And the last thing we want them to do is cause the Syrian army to lose their morale. That would be a very bad thing. Again, real quick, somebody call in and make sure this phone works, because the last show, people told me after the show that they tried calling and they just got a busy signal. Keith, you said you had another number?
Yes, it has been tested as well. It definitely works.
All right, well, I want somebody to call in right now and say hello. One of you listeners out there, be brave. Be the first one to call in and give some good wishes to our guests. 928-202-4608. Somebody call in right now. Anyway, Dr. Rima, this is a painful subject, but for some time now, I've been wanting to get you to help me to find a good guest to come in and talk about the destruction of the antiquities and the history. And then we have this guy, who I'm talking about, the professor over there in Palmyra, who was executed. And obviously, someone, like yourself, who's a PhD, a professor with the university, this has to really hit close to home. And the very fact that we were trying to find somebody, I mean, my God, if we could have gotten someone of that stature on the show, that would have been wonderful. But the very fact that we were even trying at all to find somebody like that and then have this happen to him, it makes me feel kind of close to the event.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Actually,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I will try, Stephen, to find someone who is an expert on the antiquities as well, and who probably even knows Professor Khalid Al-Assad, God bless his soul, even personally. I mean, anybody who went to Palmyra or visited Palmyra would feel so sorry, because this person was, I mean, part of Palmyra itself, because he knew every little bit about Palmyra. And he was rewarded even, internationally by the archaeology community around the world in a way. And you know that even in Italy, because of the archaeological mission in Italy that's visited Syria constantly, and that who were in contact with him, they in fact brought down the flags for 3 days for over his death. It's heartbreaking, Stephen, and it's very well known that what is happening is a wiping out, an attempt to wipe out the civilization and culture and history of Syria. I mean, it's a total destruction of a country in all aspects, because a country or a homeland is not only lands; it's people as well. I mean, they killing the people, killing the scientists, the academics, and then pushing the people to leave the country as refugees. I mean, a total destruction of a country. I just can't understand how, again, just for the sake of Israel. I mean, it's amazing, Stephen, how you can wipe away countries, you can wipe away peoples, you can wipe away cultures and civilization. Just please don't be anti-Semitic by saying, well, I mean, why do you pay so much money for Israel to occupy lands? I mean, if you just say, well, why doesn't Israel return some lands to the Palestinian, establish a Palestinian state? They will accuse you of being anti-Semitic. I mean, it's okay to wipe out countries, but please don't show any kind of, anti-Semitism. I don't understand. I mean, why is Israel this spoiled child of the U.S. administration and the Western? Maybe I know that they are controlling the economy of the world. Okay, I understand this, but again, for the world to live in peace and to follow an example whereby you can benefit from the, if you like, the wealth of a country by providing some development projects instead of by war. I mean, you can, if you like, get whatever you want from a country by peace. For example, like the example of China now benefiting from the wealth of Africa, but it provides development projects. I think, well, I don't think that they are getting less money or less benefit from wealth. So I really don't understand. The only explanation then is Israel. Because when you see that the Europeans and backed by, let's say, following the U.S. administration in accepting or closing an eye on destroying countries, I just can't understand. Because if it is for money and for wealth, they can get whatever they want by peace. So the only explanation is Israel. Israel wants to wipe away the civilization around it, so it can really shine in contrast that all those countries around it are failed countries, failed states, with extremists fighting, with militias fighting. This is what they want to turn Syria into. Because Syria has been, before the crisis, Stephen, in 2010, Syria has in a way come so close to achieving the Millennium Goals, by the way, in development, in combating poverty, in, for example, wiping out, trying to educate the people in a way. And it has really reached almost close to achieving the Millennium Goals, unlike other countries that are underdeveloped. Somehow. So it seems as if, Israel doesn't want Syria to stand as a strong country, of course, because it has no prospects for peace, Israel, as you very well know.
Well, let me throw something in there, Dr. Rima. As you know, back during the time of King Solomon, Israel broke into two halves. the northern half was conquered by Assyria, which is essentially Syria, and the southern half was conquered by Babylon, which is essentially Iraq.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, so this history that they're trying to destroy is the history of their conquerors. So to me, this seems like an ancient revenge.
Revenge, yeah.
Right, and they don't
The
want
history
to,
of
they want,
captivity in a way.
yeah, they're going back trying to have revenge on something that happened 2,000 years ago at least. And then the other thing is that if you look at the tribe of the north, that when they left Assyria and they went north and they became the Khazars and the Ashkenazis, and then most of what these European Jews, now we know these are the Ashkenazis. And then, of course, the Khazar kingdom fell back in whatever it was, 1300, 1500.
1300, yeah.
But then if you look at their kingdom, it went all the way to Kiev and large portions of, almost all the way to Moscow. And this is, when you look at what they're doing right now with the destruction of the Mesopotamia and all of that area, and then you look north at what's going on in their, what they're building in Ukraine, you can see they don't just want a greater Israel. They want their kingdom to go all the way to Kiev. They want revenge for what happened in 2,000 years ago with Assyria and with Babylon, and yet they also want revenge against what happened with the Russians and the Vikings in 1300, right? And then the sad thing is that if you look at Iran and their role in all this historically, is that Persia were the ones that conquered Babylon and Assyria, I believe, and essentially freed the people of Judea and Israel and allowed them to go off and go back and rebuild the temple and everything that they've done. And yet they want to destroy the people of Persia also. So it's crazy, and it's all part of the education that I want people to understand. But again, we're down to about 20 minutes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed that we don't have a call. I want somebody to call in real quick. Again, 928-202-4608. Jerry Bear, somebody call in at this number. Do not use the Skype. Call in at the 928-202-4602. Call and say hello. Somebody in chat, call that number right now and let me know that this is working. Okay, I'm sorry, Dr. Rima, go ahead.
No, it's okay. But as you say, Stephen, it will finally spill over. I don't know how they think that if they destroy these countries, that they will be safe in the future. It will eventually spill over, and then the influx of refugees now into Europe from all over the place, from Libya, from Syria. I mean, they're bound to find those, the monster they have themselves supported, because there are many people now from Libya, from Syria, unfortunately, even though Syria was completely away from this kind of thought. But the Saudis, by coming over the years before the crisis, they have been sending their those, between brackets, religious men, as they call them, and they've been teaching them this Wahhabi thought. So eventually this will spill over into Europe and even into the United States. So I think it's better to try and educate the people and making them aware that we need to have a kind of global...
But isn't that the plan, Dr. Rima? Don't you see that's all part of the plan? Yeah, they want that to happen.
So finally, Israel and of course the Saudis. I see the Saudis as the arm of Israel now completely. They are doing what the Israeli agenda completely now. The Saudis are implementing the Israeli agenda, as it were. But just if I can go back to the sanctions, Stephen, because this is positive, and let me explain that you've asked that isn't Iran or Russia or even Lebanon providing what is what the Syrians don't have because of sanctions. Actually, of course, Iran and Russia are doing the best they can, but they cannot. The sanctions are affecting all the sectors. So if the Russians and the Iranians weren't doing something, we would have been dead by now. In a way, they are doing a lot, but the sanctions, and here I want to stress that the sanctions are not affecting the regime even one bit. They are affecting the people, and that's why if people don't want, refugees influx, they have to really work hard in stopping the sanctions and to make it clear to their governments that the sanctions, address the Congress, address the parliaments, that the sanctions are actually hitting the Syrian people, mostly the children, the livelihoods of the people, because the Syrian government is doing its best in trying to return the livelihoods and to try and rehabilitate the areas destroyed by the war, so that people can go back to their areas and restart their livelihoods. But livelihoods.
So, do we need to talk to the UN? Maybe we can write to the UN. Who's responsible for these sanctions? Who's making the coffee? By the way,
of course, the UN, and I think Syria has addressed the UN many times that they have to lift the sanctions. But in actual fact, the countries, the states in the UN, the member states, they have to be addressed by their people, by the parliaments, and they have to be under pressure so they can finally vote in the Security Council or the UN that yes, we have to lift the sanctions or part of the sanctions that are affecting people in important sectors like the health sector, the economy in a way, at least to secure or salvage some livelihoods. So yes, the issue is presented at the UN, but it's the member states who have to vote and who have not to succumb to the US pressure there by not voting against lifting the sanctions, because it's basically the U.S. administration that has to accept lifting the sanctions. So it's affecting the member states' decision in a way. So I think that the people in Europe and the American people should probably push the governments to the member states at the UN to really lift the sanctions for the important vital sectors for the livelihoods of the Syrian people.
Let's try to be specific here. I mean, obviously, the U.S. State Department is worthless. It doesn't matter. We could call them all day. They're not going to do anything. Here in the U.S., it's difficult. Even a UN representative, I know the U.S. representative is probably going to be deaf to this. So I'm hoping that people in other countries will have more effect. English-speaking listeners. Germany, I'd like to see people in Germany perhaps take the lead in this role. Get Angela Merkel to do something and let her be the first one to suggest that sanctions are lifted. I think that's a very positive step. Russia, of course, is doing what they can do. European Union, I don't know.
I hear Paul, Stephen, on all the people, the Syrian people, if you can't join the army, at least try to write letters wherever you are, because there are Syrian people abroad, by the way, and they can address in Germany, for example, address the parliament, put pressure on the government. Wherever you are, you can do something by writing letters. I mean, I remember with my students in 2013 when they wanted to bombard Syria. We wrote lots of letters to the parliament, to the members of the Congress in the US. So I think these letters will make an effect, even no matter how small. I mean, don't give up and say, well, I mean, what can I do? I can't do anything. I'm a poor Syrian citizen. No, you can do something. Everybody can do something by just, at least the word is in itself, effective sometimes.
Well, you know what else they can do? They can join our Revolution Radio page and my page, Stephen D. Kelly page, Stephen D. Kelly for President page. That's all I can do. We can make noise. People ask me all the time, what can they do? And I say, make noise. All right, Billy Hayes is trying to join me right now. That's what we need to do. I don't know if the people in Syria struggle from this, but people that are listening right now, all we can really do is focus on the people that are listening to us right now, and hope that they can reach out to people in charge in their countries, and just make noise. Yeah. Do it on Facebook, wherever.
Yeah, sorry, Facebook, Stephen. Can I also say something concerning Facebook? Because, sure. I can tell you, I, for one, and many people like me here in Syria, they try on Facebook to write something, and they are always, either advised by people around them who love them. Like I am constantly advised by my family, and, stop writing things on Facebook, stop writing things. I say, well, the people are sacrificing for the country with their lives, and you want me not to write something, even not to use the word. So I call on everybody to really, at least, don't fight with people, if you like, on Facebook. Just simply write that there is another point of view, even though I hate the word point of view, because your country is in danger. It's not a point of view anymore. It's something that you have to show the reality. Let me give you an example here, an anecdote that happened with me with a Syrian British person, without mentioning the name, of course. I mean, she is a professor in one of the British universities, and she's Syrian British, by the way. I don't know why and for what reason she is trying to take a completely different side in a way. She doesn't want to listen even. Maybe she's benefiting from a certain, organization that is, from the opposition, getting some money out of it. I don't know. But I remember I saw a post on her page on Facebook, the Times Magazine with this headline: 20,000 Syrian children killed by the government. So, and I noticed that she has friends, British friends, commenting on the post. So I wrote to them, well, I mean, as a Syrian living in Syria, can I please tell you another side of the story? So I wrote, a long comment to show them that there is another side of the story. And instead of saying, okay, I leave your comment so people can read and see for themselves the two sides in a way, or the many sides, she deleted my comment, and she told me, please, don't write any comment, because the issue is sensitive and people get hurt. So I told her, people get hurt. We are getting hurt. We are in Syria, and we are getting hurt from trying to show a completely different narrative, which is not true. I mean, I told her, by doing this and by censoring me and censoring any other voice, you are depriving your people in Britain from listening to other sides of the story. So I call on everyone to try as much as they can to not stop, write the other side of the story, write the other narrative, and tell them that, okay, if you don't want to believe in this side of the story, at least do something by lifting the sanctions. So I told this lady, please do something in Britain by asking your government to lift the sanctions on the Syrian people, instead of taking sides and not seeing the other side of the story.
It seems to me, you've mentioned Britain now a couple of times, but whenever I see images of the newspapers, the Sun, the Guardian, whatever, they seem to be even more ridiculous and more insane than the stuff that they say here in the United States. So I'm inclined to believe that the government over there in the media is even worse than it is over here with respect to reality. Jeez. Okay, we've got Billy Hayes just joined us. Hi, Billy. What's going on? What would you like to say?
Well, good evening, Steve. I just wanted to make some mention here. First of all, we've been trying to come in on the studio lines, but we're told that the lines are busy and blah, blah, sorry this, sorry that. But one thing we need to mention about all this is the fact that we live in a new age of deceit and communications on, what you and I were used to back in our day of confirmation of information, intel and so forth. It's a whole new game now. For the last 15 years, there has not been an established, accurate way of communicating intel, correct intel. I mean, you're probably familiar with what was going on in Iraq of when we go out from site to site on intel that was being prepared to us by some of our brotherhood out there and other services. Just the interaction between services was giving us bogus intel all the time. I mean, it was not uncommon for us to go to places where it was positive ID on this person, that person, or equipment or situations, all the way right down to weapons of mass destruction. I mean, it started there and it's just been endless ever since of the bogus information that's been passed through the intel. It's a whole new game. The whole new game is called supply bogus intel. And it's unfortunate that the media plays this game too. So it's a whole mass of inspiration of trying to sort this all out, where inter-service communication is accurate from each one, where each one is able, in the past it's always been the Army's been the Army, the Navy's been the Navy, the Air Force been the Air Force, and the Marines have been the Marines. They guarded their own information from each other. In fact, within commands in each service, they hide things. Oh, they don't need to know that. The fact is, every bit of information that is acquired, whether it's bogus or not, needs to be put up instantly instantly, not 10 days down the road, instantly. So other ways can be conspired to double check everything. If there's movement, let's see what the aircraft or satellites were seeing. But there was so much.
All right. Well,
power.
I think what you're basically talking about is a couple things. It's not just we're talking about taking out little guys in town, 40 guys with AKs, and then as far as large scale ISIS, it's all difficult. It's not quite the same, and not being from the territory. Obviously, in Iraq, you guys are not the same as Syrian forces going in, and people that actually live in the country. They may have a little bit easier ability to infiltrate, and this kind of thing. You know, they know the terrain a little bit better. Is that kind of what you were talking about there?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Well, I appreciate that input. Any other words of encouragement that you want to offer these guys, or what?
You've got to stand up. They've got to stand up for themselves first. This whole situation has been wishy-washy. As soon as you instigate going into a situation, if you don't have enough there, all of a sudden they change sides right in the middle of it. I mean,
you're talking about Assad now. You think Assad's got to be more assertive in his efforts to combat his the
people themselves. The people themselves.
Oh, I agree there. I got to tell you, I agree there. But this is the thing. I come from a country where I can go and buy as many guns as I can afford, and a lot of ammo. And we're aggressive, but we're polite. And this is a little bit different. So it's a little bit hard for us. I don't know where you're at, but it's a little hard for us to understand. And it's almost like these countries, the leaders, obviously the people who have run these countries. America's unique. And they're trying to change that. Of course, they're trying to take those guns away. But I can see when I look at these situations how it really does keep stuff like that in check. There's no way you could have these armed groups running sections of cities, because the citizens, by and large, would not allow it. And the law enforcement community could come in there, and yes, say all things you want about American law enforcement, but you couldn't have that happen. All right, looks like Nighthawk has joined us. Hang on a second. What's up, Nighthawk? Nighthawk, go ahead.
Am I on the call?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the problem. All I see is me calling Keith. So you have you got some kind of weird quantum entanglement going on with Skype.
Yeah. They don't like us. Maybe they don't want anybody calling in the show, because I took my home phone here and called in, and I got directly connected to the show. So the number that I've been giving out does work. But hey, somebody doesn't like us out there.
But everybody do realize we're like right smack in the middle of Hawksfest right now. So sending me messages right now are kind of nothing's going to get done fast.
Yeah, well, don't worry about it. We're okay. We're almost done with the show, and we got Billy here, and you can say hello to the people in Damascus, Dr. Rima and Mahmoud. So, he's gone. Okay. Yeah, they're in the middle of their party. Go ahead, Dr. Rima.
Yes, I really thank him for what he said as well concerning the media and the bogus narratives that are going on. And one of them, what I mentioned to you just now, Stephen, concerning the Times magazine cover. In this area, which is called Al Ghouta, the eastern Ghouta, eastern part of Damascus, in the suburbs. This is now an area which is, of course, full of armed groups, and they call themselves Al-Fatah Army and Ahrar al-Sham and different contingents, unfortunately. Now, I mean, there are loads of, militias there under the, of course, control of this person called Zahran Alloush. Now, lately, of course, the Time magazine has been showing that, the Syrian army is killing children or what have you. They have done a military operation, last week. What happened, Stephen, is that this area now is full of armed groups, and the families, the people staying there now, the civilians, are either the families of those armed groups, or some of them, are so poor they couldn't leave the area. And that's why the Syrian government couldn't finish the area completely. Now, what's happened is that the narrative has been, completely blown out of proportion. That, oh my God, he's killing children, as if there are no armed groups. And every day, Zahran Allouche and all the armed rebels there, they have a kind of military parade. And they show it on YouTube that, look, we are very strong. Okay. I mean, they are showing they are there and, a military area. Imagine, Stephen, they have been taking revenge on Damascus now for the last 2 weeks, and Mahmoud knows this very well, with mortars, fired everywhere. And unfortunately, a couple of days ago in the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, 15 students were hit. 4 of them died instantly. And the rest are now in intensive care with, really severe injuries.
Right.
Maybe
yes, doctor.
They will not
yes,
survive.
doctor. Stephen, I just want to, doctor. We only got 2 minutes. All I need is 10 seconds.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, doctor. Doctor, we can feel your heart. This is the hijacker. Where can we actually send money? What account or name or address? Where can Americans send you money? Because we know if we send you money to help the children and women and the poor there, that it will get to them. So can you give us some contact information where we can actually do something tangible right now and send you some money?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I will probably check that, because I will ask to see if there is a kind of national NGO that are on the ground and helping people as much as possible. Of course, there is the Syrian Arab Red Crescent. They are doing a very good job.
We're out of time.
So I'll check for you. And
no problem. You work with me. You get it for me, and we'll work together with this. I know other people have said this, so we don't know that that's the answer. But if that helps people stay home, that's fine. Although, with the embargo and all that, there may be some rules with how that works.
Lifting the sanctions is more important. Yeah.
But if you have the strength to spearhead this effort, let's do that, and let's use resources towards that endeavor.
Yeah.
How's that sound? It's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Again, we're at the end of the show. I want to thank Billy here. I want to thank Keith. I want to thank Mahmoud, Dr. Rima Hakim. Thank you very much. Hijack. Thank you very much. All the listeners out there, thank you again so much. If you want to help out Revolution Radio, again, go to the site support page. If you want to help me out, Stephen Kelly 714 at gmail.com. That's the end of the show. We will have this on YouTube very soon, I hope. Dr. Rima, Mahmoud, we'll have you back on again very soon. Mahmoud, keep me in touch. Keep me posted on everything that's going on. Again, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Okay? Adios.
You too,
Bye.
Stephen. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Hey folks, Captain Nighthawk here. Do you have a favorite host? Well, imagine if you all having all the broadcast shows from 2013 to listen to anytime you want. Awesome deal, huh? Anyway, so stop by freedomslips.com and order the entire 2013 library of your favorite host for just $30. Not only do you help with the station funding to keep us on the air, you also help the host because they get half of the net on every order. Also, we have Revolution Radio's all-time favorite shows all on one disc. The details are really broad, so you'll have to visit the website and go look at the details yourself. It's, again, www.freedomslips.com/season2013.htm. And get your favorites. First come, first serve, 7 to 21 days for delivery. Thank you. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps, including me. Later.
We've got to stop them! They're going to kill us all!
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.